It was an unforgettable experience. In this video, I'll tell you how I got to a swing party where there were a lot of black people. It all started at this super normal birthday party I went to like a year ago. You know, one of those I got invited because I know a friend of a friend type of things. Nothing exciting. It was like a sea of middle-aged people drinking wine, talking about their kids, and asking me if I'd ever thought about getting a real job. You know, the usual. But anyway, there was this one girl, Lisa. Cute, mid-30s, kind of edgy in a I've got tattoos but also read philosophy way. She was one of those people who made everything look easy, effortlessly cool, like she just got it. And then there was Sarah, who was like the opposite of that. If Lisa was the vibe, Sarah was the dressed in all black vibe with like 30 piercings. But that's a story for later. So Lisa and I started talking. Mostly small talk, you know. The usual, oh, so how do you know Greg? Oh, you do marketing. That's cool. And we laughed about how bad the music was. Pretty unremarkable. Then the evening went on. I had a few drinks. Sarah was talking my ear off about, I don't even know, something about her pet snake's emotional growth or something weird like that. But here's where it gets interesting. By the end of the night, we were all like laughing about something ridiculous, probably Sarah's snake. And out of nowhere, Lisa just goes, you know, you should come to an interesting event next weekend. And I was like, what thing? And she's like, casually, I mean like really casually, a swingers party. Like super chill. No pressure. Just some fun with some open-minded people. Now, I don't know what kind of person you think I am, but I just kinda stared at her trying to figure out if she was joking. Like, was this some weird avant-garde art piece I was too uncool to understand? But no, Lisa wasn't joking. Sarah, of course, was all about it. She was like, you can't miss it, it's a blast. We'll make sure you feel comfortable. And there I was, standing in my cocktail dress, clutching my wine glass like my life depended on it, wondering if I should just pretend I didn't hear that. But the thing is, I was curious. Not in a, I'm definitely going to try this way. More like in a, I can't even imagine what that would be like way. And so, like a fool, I said, okay, sure. Send me the details. What was I thinking? Had no idea. But hey, I thought, why not? Worst case scenario, I just back out, right? So, I get the details later in the week. A fancy invite that seemed oddly formal for a super chill event. And I was like, okay, I'm actually doing this. Fast forward to the weekend. Me tell you, I was nervous. Like nervous. I didn't know what to wear. Do I go sexy? Casual? Is there a dress code? A dress code for a swingers party? And how do I even act at a place like that? Do I just walk in and be like, hey, I'm here for the casual fun or what? But as soon as I walk through that door, all my weird judgmental thoughts kind of vanished. 'Cause the place was gorgeous. Think upscale lounge meets tropical resort. There were velvet couches, cool lighting, a lot of mood music. A lot of really good mood music. And people, mostly couples but some singles too, just chatting, laughing, drinking, being cool. And then, oh my god, then, there were these incredibly attractive men like everywhere. And let me tell you, it wasn't just the usual, oh, he's hot kind of thing. Oh no. These guys were magnetic. They were all so confident, so comfortable in their own skin. And here's the kicker. A lot of them were black. Like, just an overwhelming number of black men. Now, I don't know why that caught me off guard, but it totally did. It was like I walked into a secret world, and everyone was stunning. Honestly, it was a vibe. The air was just buzzing with energy. It was like a movie scene. So, I'm standing there at the bar, clutching my drink like it was a life raft. I couldn't tell if I was about to faint or if I was about to get into the most interesting conversation of my life. Either way, I was in. And I'm sure you're wondering, what did I do? I'll give you a hint. Not much. Within 10 minutes, I mostly just stood there, very aware that I was the most out-of-place person in the room. You know, just observing, analyzing. I couldn't help myself. It was like being at a zoo but with way better outfits and way more interesting people. And then Lisa appeared again. This time with a smile that said, I told you so, without actually saying it. She pulled me in to meet a couple of people, and the next thing I knew, I was in the middle of this conversation. Well, let's call it a chat for now. And let's just say, this is when the night really started to get interesting. So Lisa and I are talking and she's always just way too confident, like a big sister I never had. And then out of nowhere, she pulls me into a circle of guys. I'm not even kidding. It was like she had a sixth sense for matchmaking or something. One minute I'm sipping my drink, trying not to trip over my own feet, and the next, I'm standing in a circle surrounded by guys who all seem way too chill and way too interested in me. But here's the thing, there was one guy. And I swear to God, he looked like he stepped out of a dream. Like, I'm talking perfectly sculpted face, those dark eyes that you could get lost in, and I swear I could feel my heart racing. I won't lie, he was my type. Like, the second I laid eyes on him, I felt like I was in the middle of a rom-com. It was that intense. Now let me be honest with you guys. I've been in some situations where I've been the center of attention, but never like this. These guys were looking at me in a way I had never felt before. It wasn't just friendly or casual. There was interest, like they were sizing me up. I could feel the weight of their gazes. And let me tell you, I was not prepared for that. I had been to regular parties, sure, but nothing like this. These men weren't playing around, and I was starting to realize that maybe, just maybe, I had stepped into something way more than I was ready for. And then, just when I thought things couldn't get any more intense, Lisa, who's been way too chill this whole time, leans over and asks, "So do you like it here?" And her voice was all calm, but I could feel this weird tension building up in my chest. Like everything was moving in slow motion. I just said, "Yeah, it's cool," because honestly, what else was I going to say? I was freaking out. There were like at least 5 guys all just standing there, all looking at me. At one point, one of them, this tall guy with a deep voice, smiled and I almost forgot how to breathe. But after about 10 minutes, I was kind of done. I mean, the whole situation was kind of fun in the beginning, don't get me wrong, but it was also a lot. My heart was racing, I was so hot, and there was this weird pressure, like I was expected to be some kind of goddess in this crowd of men. But here's the thing, I am not a goddess. I was sweating like I'd just run a marathon, and all I wanted was some space. So, without really thinking, I just whispered to Lisa, "I need some fresh air." Like, I wasn't even sure why I said it, but my brain was in panic mode, and it came out of my mouth before I could stop it. I swear when I stepped outside it was like a breath of fresh air, literally. The cool night air hit me, and I just stood there on the sidewalk trying to calm down. I felt completely ridiculous. I had just been at a party for like 30 minutes and was already having a mini meltdown. I looked around thinking, what the hell is wrong with me? But at the same time, I knew I needed to just chill for a minute. Now here's the funny part. I'm standing there trying to gather my thoughts when I hear a voice behind me. It's Lisa. Course it's Lisa. She comes out looking like she just came out of a Beyoncé music video, all glowing and confident. And she's like, "Hey, everything okay?" And you guys, I lost it. I mean, I was so emotionally relieved to see her, I just blurted out, "This is honestly the best place I've ever been." Like, where did that come from? I don't even know. But I was so full of excitement, confusion, and something else that I just said it. And Lisa, bless her soul, just nods and smiles like it was the most normal thing to say. She laughs a little, then looks at me and says, "It's pretty great, huh?" And I nodded, a little too enthusiastically. But to be honest, I didn't even know what was happening anymore. All I knew was that I had just stepped into a completely new world, and I was both terrified and really into it. Lisa didn't push me to go back inside or anything. She just kind of stood there with me, letting me breathe. Honestly, I was kind of grateful for that. Now what happened next? Oh, that's where things got really interesting. Gets even crazier from here. When I walked back into the room, the vibe had totally shifted. I don't know if it was the fresh air or just me getting my nerves under control, but I felt calmer, like I was kind of floating in this odd mix of excitement and fear. But you know what? Screw it. I went with it. I casually walked right back into the center of that circle of men. I think I was trying to act all cool, like, yeah, I've been outside for a minute, but I'm back now and I'm ready for whatever. So I just laid down in the middle of them. Just like that. I didn't even have to say anything. They were all there just being calm and confident, and I was just laying there. It wasn't even awkward. I mean, it could have been, but honestly at that point I was just going with the flow. But here's where things took a hard left turn. I don't know what changed between when I stepped outside and when I came back, but as I laid there, I started to feel this intense pressure in my lower body. First, I thought, okay, this is just a weird muscle cramp or something. But no, it got worse. And then it turned into pain. Intense, sharp pain. And I mean seriously sharp. I screamed, I couldn't help it. It was like nothing I've ever experienced. The kind of pain that makes you feel like you can't breathe, you can't think, and you definitely can't move. I jumped out of the circle and stumbled toward the door, trying to make sense of what was happening. But the pain. It was so bad that I couldn't even speak. I couldn't form words. I was in full-on shock. I couldn't even tell them what was happening, I couldn't even think straight. At that point, all I could focus on was what I saw. Well, let's just say it wasn't pretty. You know when you have a minor accident, and you're trying to figure out what's going on. It's like you can't even comprehend the situation. There was something dripping. I couldn't make sense of it in the moment. But then I saw that I was dripping ketchup. Honestly, the pain lasted maybe 5 minutes. Felt like an eternity. I was literally curled up, barely able to breathe through it, and I'm not even sure how I made it to the kitchen. When I finally could breathe, Lisa was right there. Like right by my side. She was so calm, so supportive, asking if I was okay, but I honestly couldn't even answer. I was still in shock. She helped me sit down, told me to relax, and made sure I was comfortable. You know what the worst part was? The guys, like the men I had just been laying with, they were still doing their thing. They didn't even look at me twice. I mean, it was like I had disappeared from their world in that moment. I don't know if they were just too involved in their own thing to notice or if they just didn't care, but at that point I was kinda over it. I couldn't even process what had happened to me. And they were still out there having their fun, like nothing had changed. But I guess that's the thing with these kinds of parties. Some people are there for the experience, but others are just there to, well, enjoy themselves without any emotional attachment, if you get my drift. I was sitting in the kitchen trying to calm myself down, and Lisa was amazing. She was so chill about the whole thing. Like she was the only one who was really there for me in that moment. The other men, not so much. But that's how it goes, I guess. You think you know what you're getting into, and then life just hits you with the unexpected. So, there I was, feeling completely out of my depth and like I'd just gone through something intense. And I wasn't sure how to feel about it. Did I regret going? Was I scared? Yeah, a little. But also, I was alive in a way that I'd never felt before. All the emotions were just tangled up in me, and I was trying to figure it all out. Okay, I'm just gonna be real with you guys. I've been putting off talking about this part because, well, it's a little embarrassing. But you know what? It's part of the experience, and if there's one thing I've learned from this whole crazy night, it's that sometimes you just need to own it. So here goes. I was sitting in the kitchen with Lisa, trying to pull myself together, but the pain, oh my God, it was still there. I could feel it deep down in my pelvic area, and honestly, I didn't know what to do about it. I was still in shock, kind of numb from everything that had happened. But Lisa, bless her heart, was being so calm, so reassuring. She looked at me, and I could tell she was concerned. Finally, I just pointed to where it hurt, and I said, "It's here." Feels wrong. Lisa's face shifted in an instant. The calm, confident Lisa I knew went from laid back to, okay, this is serious. She took a deep breath, and I swear I could see the worry in her eyes. Then she said it. Those words that sent my brain into full-on panic mode. "You need to see a doctor." Froze. Like I literally froze. It felt like the room got 10 degrees colder, and my stomach dropped. A doctor? Thought. What do you mean a doctor? I'm fine. I'm fine, right? But Lisa wasn't playing around. She could tell I was in way more pain than I was letting on. And honestly, the way she looked at me, I knew I had to go. So, long story short, we got in Lisa's car and started driving. And let me tell you, I could feel the tears welling up as soon as we hit the road. It wasn't just the physical pain. It was the emotional roller coaster I was on. I started thinking, why did I even go to that party? What was I thinking? What kind of mess had I gotten myself into? I could feel the tears rolling down my cheeks as I said, over and over, "I'm never going to those parties again. Never. This is it. No more." I said it so many times I almost believed myself. Almost. Lisa, of course, being the seasoned pro she is, didn't try to make me feel better with some empty words. Instead, she just gave me a gentle smile and said, "I've been there. I've had some situations like this before. It happens. You'll be okay." I don't know if I really believed her, but in that moment, her calmness was exactly what I needed. I think part of me knew deep down that this wasn't the end of the world, but still, it was hard not to feel humiliated, embarrassed. Like, what did I just do? Anyway, we finally get to the doctor's office, after what felt like the longest car ride in history, and I'm still a hot mess. I've got tears running down my face. I'm trying not to make it a huge deal, but I can't help it. The doctor, thank God, was super chill about everything. He took one look at me, asked me a few basic questions, and then, without hesitation, had me lie down for an examination. And let me just say this, the whole process was way less dramatic than I thought it would be. It wasn't fun, but it wasn't as bad as I imagined. The doctor was really professional, just doing his thing while I awkwardly lay there, trying not to make any weird noises. Then he said the thing that totally freaked me out. "You've got a tear. Nothing major, but we'll need to stitch it up." Dear. What? Apparently, it happens more often than you'd think. I mean, I had no idea. Who knew? But the doctor was all business. Calm, no big deal. He even said, "It happens. No need to worry." Easier said than done, doc. As he stitched me up, I honestly didn't feel anything. I'm serious. I was just lying there, totally numb. It was a weird, surreal experience, almost like I wasn't even there. It was kind of like being in a daze, and I just kept thinking, what have I gotten myself into? When it was all over, the doctor gave me a bunch of instructions, which I barely registered because I was still kind of out of it. But I remember him saying one thing very clearly. You need to avoid any strain in that area for at least 14 days. No activity and definitely no intense movement. Here's an ointment, apply it every day. I was just nodding like, okay, yeah. Ointment. Got it. I mean, I could barely process the fact that I had just been stitched up, but there I was. The drive home was... well, it was quiet. Like super quiet. The reality of everything started to hit me, and I started feeling this huge wave of regret. I mean, what the hell had I just done? My body was sore, my pride was bruised, and my heart was in knots. I don't think I've ever been more relieved to pull into my driveway. And as I sat there, all I could think was, I am never doing that again. Ever. But you know what? I'm sure you can guess where this is going. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to feel about it tomorrow, but for now, let's just say this whole thing was a massive lesson. And that's the thing about life, sometimes you just gotta go through something to understand who you are. So yeah, there's that. After everything that went down at that party, when I finally got home, I needed some serious me time. Like, I needed to sit with myself and just process everything. I was a hot mess, emotionally, physically, and mentally. The first thing I told myself when I walked through the door was, this was a big lesson, and I am never doing anything like that again. Seriously. Never. And I mean it. I can't even stress enough how much I do not recommend going to these kinds of parties. Not even a little. People always tell you to live in the moment and try new things, but sometimes, you really need to know when to say no. And if you're ever considering going to one of these swinger parties, just don't. Trust me. That was definitely the biggest lesson of all. But you know what? Even though I was kind of embarrassed and shaken by everything that happened, I can look back now and just laugh at how wild it was. So yeah, I'm sharing my story with you guys because if nothing else, maybe you'll learn from my mistakes. The next couple of days were a blur of me just laying low. I didn't want to go anywhere, do anything, or talk to anyone. The doctor's orders to take it easy were pretty much my excuse to binge watch Netflix for hours on end. I mean, literally all day. I'd wake up, pop in some Netflix, and just let it play while I lay on the couch in my recovery cocoon. But here's the thing, I actually ended up really enjoying it. It was kind of nice to just unplug from everything and chill. Plus, Lisa came by to check on me a couple of times, which was super sweet. I was still kinda processing the whole thing, but Lisa was always there with her no-judgment vibes. And honestly, we started hanging out a lot more. Like a lot more. Before I knew it, Lisa and I became best friends. Weird, right? The whole thing started with us just chatting at a random birthday party. And now she's literally one of my closest friends. She was there for me when I needed someone to talk to or vent to. And she totally understood what I was going through. Turns out she's had her own wild moments in the past. So we bonded over that. Shared experiences and all that. As for the 14 days of no movement, let's just say they kind of flew by. In the beginning it felt like time was standing still, but then Netflix really took over my life. I got hooked on new shows and just let myself relax, knowing that I couldn't do anything crazy for a while. Honestly, by the time those 2 weeks were up, I felt like a new person. No pain, no shame, just a little more wisdom and a lot more appreciation for quiet nights at home. Now, here's a little fun idea I've been toying with. P.S. If you want to hear more unfiltered stories, minus the YouTube restrictions, let me know in the comments. I've got a ton of crazy, funny, and embarrassing adventures to share. Maybe I'll start a Patreon and give you all the juicy details, the kind that don't quite make it to YouTube because, well, rules. So, if you want to hear more of the unfiltered version of my life, let me know in the comments. I'll make it happen if you're interested. I'm not shy, and I think some of you are ready for those extra juicy details. Winking face. But anyway, I really hope you all learned something from my experience. Sometimes life's messiest moments are also the ones that teach us the most. I definitely won't be stepping foot in any more parties like that. Ever. But I'm okay with it. Life's a journey, right? Alright, that's enough rambling for today. Leave a comment if you think I should start a Patreon. I promise you won't regret it. And as always, thanks for sticking with me through this insane story. Can't wait to see what you guys think, and remember, always trust your gut. Don't let curiosity lead you down paths that could end with, tears and stitches. Winking face with tongue. See you in the next one. Red heart.